pie chart, bar chart, candlestick chart, Bootstrap styling and cards, loading animated icons, dynamic data table sorting and filtering with colorful conditional formatting, and tab based navigation. Let's put all these magic ingredients to create visually stunning interactive portfolio tracking application. Welcome back to Tech Nugget channel. Let's dive into today's video, Plotly Dash Part 2. Today's video, I will walk you through this visually stunning interactive portfolio application. So before we go into this code walkthrough on this application, we need to understand bolts and nuts of this application. First of all, we need to understand first and foremost the pillar of the application, that's architecture. So the choices what we have today is multi-tier and single tier. When we say multi-tier, the responsibilities have been separated across multiple tiers. For example, I wanted to have a cloud-based web service. The logic is there and resides in external cloud service, and that interacts and parses the data, and also it does all the logics. And also you have an internal service which interacts back to MySQL DB or Redis or Mongo or Redis to improve the performance. And the internal service can be further wrapped into facade service. The facade service is one of the very common architectural pattern. It has been there for a it has been there in the industry for a very long time, where it abstracts all of the underlying interactions. So in this case, Plotly Dash app will be very thin as possible. The reason is it will not have any business logic at all other than just displaying the data. So tomorrow case, in this type of advantage of this multi-tier application, tomorrow you can remove this Plotly Dash app or you can put any other application. Just a UI layer can be replaced with any other layer. The downside, there are multiple layers to handle. When you move to single tier application, your Plotly Dash app has to interact with multiple services, only one single layer, and you create as services or functions inside the same app. For example, the same case, you take it as if there is a cloud based external service, you interact to cloud and process that. You may create a service processor, or you may create a internal services, or maybe the internal service can further interact with Redis, Redis cache or MySQL DB, MongoDB, and also you may have some other services, dependent services. So in that case, your Plotly Dash will become more bulkier as you add more logic. So you need to handle UI plus business logic. You are actually creating very thick fat application. So today's demo, I'm going to choose, for simplicity thing, I'm going to choose single tier application. What we will cover as part of this, so it has got a basic layout, navigation and data table, sorting, filtering, and the different kind of charts and animated loading icon. Let's dive into code. Before dive into code, let us understand this application as an end user, how this visual components are integrated together. So let's see the first one, that is a tab based navigation. You will find different tabs for different purpose, and we have our data table with filtering. Say I wanted to try something with Tata. So you can find that instant filtering happens with all the live data. So the data is, some of the data are sample, but it is an actual working one. And during the market hours, it refreshes at every 1.5 minutes. That's configurable. Just now I made it as 2 minutes. And also it's got a pagination. You can keep going. And also you can sort based on whatever the criteria I want. For example, you go ahead and say daily change greater than 1%. You got right. So the next one is a pie chart. So here the logic behind this one is the what is the entire portfolio is spread across multiple brokers. One is Zerodha and ICC Direct on ShareCon. ShareCon got a major chunk of it, and the stacked bar chart contains uh, invested value, current value, and current PNL. And there are some minus. The color one is showing below zero is minus with the value. And as part of this portfolio, we have this one is a stock, and the below one is a mutual fund. Mutual fund also have a similar table, and it's got an interesting one is the 3D chart, 3D bubble chart. If you have a high density data, this is one of the powerful, visually stunning chart where you can intercept the data, right? So you really can see through the data. That's the power of this 3D bubble chart. I will i will i will walk you through the code behind all this logic shortly. The interactive loading icons, all of these tables and charts are integrated with interactive loading icons that you are going to see in a couple of seconds. So there are multiple ways to show. As you see here, there is a dots, there is a round, and there is a chart loading. So the table, for example, sometimes it may be little annoying to see this entire screen loading. However, just to show that instead of white screen, and it gives you the process what's happening. However, for the table it may not be required. The reason is if you don't put that loading, ideally the numbers are refreshed. That gives a much more pleasant view than completely blanking out with loading icon and refreshing back to the table. I will walk you through this code, how this loading happens through uh, the icon and styles in the code shortly. Without further ado, let's dive into the code. So let's see, as you see here, the first thing is imports, right? What are the libraries required? One is of course dash. These are all can be done through pip install dash, and there is a bootstrap components, and plotly express and pandas. The pandas is not for the plotly, however for my service I have to have that. And also you can have some of the binding callbacks. That's where you need to have this input output. And some of the NSE tools here for this portfolio tracking, I'm using this other open source tools like NSE tools, NSE Pi, all that. NSE Pi is for historical, NSE tools for NSE data. All right. So these applications are majorly, these are all combination of scrapping as well, web scraping as well, API, and NSE tools are web scraping. It's equivalent of reading directly from the reader. However, it's a nice tools. It does the job what is required. Then we have to initialize this application. This is a standard initialization you have to do. I'll come back to this part. Then the first section where I have returned portfolio, as I mentioned earlier, it's a thick, fat, single tier PyDash application. Okay, so this requires some of the sample data. That's a portfolio. For example, get portfolio. Let me open that. So this is a CSV file which has, I will read the name and broker name and quantity and investment price, right? So let me open different editor. Just give me a minute. Integral terminal. Sorry about that. So okay, so what I do, I read this three parameters: stock name, broker name, quantity. That's all I'll read from there. So if you want to customize this same file, put the relevant stock names and the relevant fields, you are good to go. And then I initialize it with NSE. Then what I do with that, I'm going to get the quote for every minute, or there is a timer defined with each interval, the refresh timer. As I'll show you that in the application. I'll get the quote, then I calculate everything dynamically. For example, investment price, but investment value have to be calculated. For example, that is investment quantity in investment price. Then there is a rounding off happens. Then the last price is LTP. Then there is a current value, total PNL. Using all this value, and also I take 52-week high and 52-week low, then create a dictionary. The dictionary contains symbol, broker, all the data which I wanted. I have it in dictionary. So from this dictionary, I prepare a data frame and I return this. Okay, so where I call this, I'm calling in callback, but that is not the place where we have to go. So where I showed is a function definition. That's an internal function definition, guys. Now let's see the visual part, how this has been plugged for in visually. So your visual part starts here, app.layout. So the top one is a html.div, the top content. From there everything else will be appended as children. So these are the tabs, the portfolio tab and the title what you're seeing there, and everything constructed this as a rows and columns. That is dbc.row. dbc is a bootstrap component. Is that bootstrap component? Just go back and check. Of course, yes, dash bootstrap components, right? Now let's go back to layout. You have a row, that is last updated row. Then there is an interval. This I made it for 2 minutes. So every 2 minutes it's going to pull. You don't need to refresh anything, automatically it pulls out, it goes and fetches. So this is a visual component. Again in another row, third row, so what I'm you will find there is something called loading. So loading is a parent, so it nests this dash data table. So you have to make sure you note down this ID, because this ID will be used in the callback to refresh this table. And also I am just populating the column names which I am interested in. This names can be anything, but however the ID, it has to match with what we have it in the data. For example, symbol, broker, all this, right? quantity, you will see that in this function symbol broker quantity, all this, right? It has to match with that. So once it matches, it is going to display the data. Then there is a filter action. I'm saying native, I'm not doing any custom when you say filter, because it is going to do the native filtering. It's a alphabet starting with the A and goes A to Z. And also sort, it's a native, I'm not doing anything. Sort mode is multi, because multi columns I can sort it. Page action also native, and I'm saying page, current page is 0, page size 15. This you can play around. If your content is more, then you can modify that. I'm making the style header as a white color, the background is black, so I wanted to have black theme, and just always I want to display this table as a black table. Okay, and also the data will be with white with a light gray color, that RGB 50, and text align is left. Then as I mentioned, there is a filter condition. So what I'm saying is change percentage. For example, it's a daily data of any of this stock, percentage is greater than 0. I'm making green and color is white. The important thing is column ID, the format. And all the same way, if it is less than 0, that means it's running in negative. I make it red and white. Okay, and the next one, for example, next field, so what I'm saying here is this one, day change percentage, that's what I showed, right? Say less than 0, you will see those color changing. Greater than 0, you will see this. Okay, and the other one is LTP. This LTP color have to change based on the previous close. That is what I'm doing in the code. For example, if the last price is greater than the previous close, that is yesterday's price, that means it is an uptrend. If the last price is less than the previous close, that means it's in downtrend. That's where the color, background color red, color is white, and it's applied on the column last price. So the last price column here is LTP. Why I'm saying LTP? Because I renamed that instead of last price. This one I changed it to LTP. The ID should match as I mentioned, but the name can be user friendly. You can keep whatever the name you want. Okay, and this is the visual part, and also PNL percentage. If the total PNL percentage greater than 50, green color. Less than 0 means if any total PNL is runs into negative, I'm giving a red color, right? On the same way, if the another column, for example, we have 50 weeks near indicator, 52 weeks near indicator, the logic for that is interesting. For example, your LTP to 52 weeks, right? Let's go back. Yep, the percentage. If let's see this, if less than 20%, right, that means it has to reach more. For example, if it the previous 52-week high is far away, that's actually negative. So sometimes that means there is no action required. And greater than -5, meaning like if anything nearing close to 5%, there is a action required from your side. Maybe you can prepare for you can take some profit booking, or you can partially withdraw some, partially sell some of the stock. That's a logic behind this. Now let's go back and let's sort again and see that you definitely don't have it. The green one you don't have. The reason is I'm looking for less than 5%, and greater than 20%. Minus 20% is a red. Mostly you're quite a lot. It should reduce to 5 so that I may take some action on this to do some partial profit booking, or maybe I can totally remove everything, and once it comes down again I'll buy back. So, and the second one is the paging action sorting, which I mentioned. Say you can put the characters, so automatically it does. You don't have to do anything, because anything ASHOK, if nothing is matching you don't find anything. Okay, so and the 15 is the page size, that's what you see, and the total PNL I explained earlier, same way. Okay, now let's go back to the code. So now let's how this code has been every 2 minutes, what has been refreshed. Just that is where your callbacks are come into play. Now go back to callback. So all the callbacks are here. So the callbacks format is this way. This is a standard format. One is output. What are the output you are going to give? So multiple output. There is a, since it's array. So table, for the table I'm going to fill the data, and last updated is HTML div. I'm going to give a children, means adding to the data, right, to that. So the portfolio pie chart, we need to give a figure. It's a figure is nothing but a diagram. Again there are two charts and one table and one HTML div. These are the output, and in based on what, that's a portfolio timer. This is the name of the component, this is the name of the element, what element, the value you have to pass. It's an n interval, every 2 minutes this will be called. And what I am doing, I am calling get portfolio. I am changing to data frame into dictionary, and I am updating last updated time to whatever the time. And also two charts, I have to create one pie chart, one bar chart. For the pie chart, data frame which I take is df1. The values for the pie chart, invested value, names is broker. So across the broker, what is invested value, and this is the size of the hole, and this height and width of the chart. The second one is this is a pie chart, so px dot pie. And if it is a bar chart, px dot bar, same data frame df1, x is symbol, and y value what I wanted to give is the stack one, invested value, current value, PNL value. This will be a stack together. That's what you are seeing the color, the same height, width, and finally I return all three elements, all four elements, of course, 1 2 3 4. Okay, so that's on the first data table with the code. Now let's move on to the next tab, that's nseTab. So in this we have cards, Bootstrap cards. It's a card layout, and in this case what I've done, for Nifty, Bank Nifty, these two are the major index in Indian stock market, and also it changes the color based on the value. If it is a plus value it will become green, and today's value is minus, that's why it's red. It's dynamic again. During the market hours it will change dynamically. And also I have a top gainers and top losers. This changes every 1 minute. So now the market is closed. However, this data keep refreshing because it's getting from a service. So this will it will refresh. However, the data may not change. So here what we have, it's again the tables and the stacked bar chart. Okay, let's dive into this code. So before I go there, one thing I missed to show was on the portfolio, the loading of the chart. For example, how those two charts were loading. It's a row and column, row and column design. Inside I am doing DCC loading. Inside there is a portfolio pie chart and the type is circle and full screen false. If you make it true, that will block the entire screen and you will not be able to see anything else other than just loading. And also I am giving the size of that. For example, each column, this is a special formatting because each screen basically divided into 9 columns. When I say 3 columns, so 3 you can put into 3. And also there is a offset 1. If I remove this offset 1, that will move back to here. So you will not have any space to left margin, you will not see anything. So there is, so that it looks neat, if I give offset 1. And you can play around with the size. You can give size 3, 6, 9, offset 1 and 2. If you, as you increase, your margin will keep increasing. Okay, so that the idea here is DCC loading and the type. One is circle, other one is graph. The graph is the one, it shows like a graph loading icon. You have a circle, you have a dot, you have a graph. Now let's get back to nseTab. Okay, this is another tab. It's a similar pattern. It has a rows and columns model. The first one is Nifty div, second one is Bank Nifty div. So this is the card layout. It will be filled from the application callback dynamically. Okay, that's first row. Second row is a two tables, top gainer, top loser table. Okay, that's this is the title of it, and the actual table is below because you don't see anything here with the same model. The size is always, I'm making 3 columns offset 1. Okay, that you can change. And there is a one more just to indicate when was last updated, and there is a timer which is every 1 minute it polls and shows this. So these are the columns. So as I mentioned earlier, this column should match with what your data frame you have, especially the ID one, because this is one. It's, if there is a mismatch, you will find a blank column, you will not find the value. Same your sort action native and sort mode, page action, page current, page size, these are all same because I want to have similar look and feel. I have given the same thing. Only one thing which I had was positive because it's a top gainer. So whenever there's a total gain per day above 2.5%, I'm making it as green. If it is less than that, I'm making as a light green. You can see that there is actually, as of now, none of this stock gains more than 2.5%. So all are less than that, you will find only light green color on the price PCT, price percentage column. So the condition here is net price. Where this price PCT came from, that's just a name, but actual ID is net price PCT. All of your filter condition goes based on the ID, not on the name. Name can be anything, but how the ID should match. Okay, and also the type. If it is a numeric only, you can perform this type of thing. If it is string, you will do something else, right? Then again here, this is also wrapped with loader. What kind of loading action we have? Loading inside the table, it's a dot. You can see that type is dot. Then again, this is formatted with the width size 3 and offset 1. Okay, the next one is loser table, top loser table. Same columns, all the fields are same. The formatting condition here is, if the price is net price is greater than minus 1.5 and less than 0, the pink, and it's applied on the net price. So less than, if it is a negative value, this less than greater than is a reverse. Okay, less than 1.5% is red and white, and this loading type is circle. Let's see. Okay, if you, as I mentioned, anything which goes above 1.5 is dark red, less than 1.5 is pink. Okay, and also you will find last updated date time. Just if you stay for a minute, you will find the loading action on this too. So one is dot, one is circle, this is graph, right? So what you have seen, dot, circle, graph, it's quite fast, but in the other tab, portfolio is little heavy because it has to do a lot of dynamic calculation. That's why it is, you can see the loading properly, but here it is quite fast. But if the data is taking too long, that definitely will take, that loading will keep on going. So this is about nseTab. Let us walk through this nseTab callback function. So the format for this, again, output and input. So for nseTab, we really have 1 2 3 4 5 6 output we need. One is a table, that is gainer table, top gainer, top loser, last updated, it's a div, and advanced decline chart, that is a figure, and other one is nifty div, children, bank nifty div, that's, these two are the cards. So let's see how does this card layout is dynamically fetched, dynamically added into this. Okay, first thing is we have functions. Earlier I defined top gainer, and again I am taking that data as a data frame and converting as a to dictionary as a records. Last updated is date time, and for the advanced declines, again that's another function. From there take the data frame, so indice is x is the indice, then y is your advanced declines unchanged, the stacked bar chart. Okay, and the other one is for the card. For example, the color is dynamically handled, color name by default green. If nifty, it's a dictionary, the index dictionary, if the changes is less than 0, means if it runs into negative, the color will turn into red, otherwise by default it comes to green. The card is composed this way. This particular card is the standard Bootstrap card layout. You have a card header and you have a card body. Inside the body I am giving the last price and what is the change, and the important thing is the color, style color. Okay, it's a color name there, somehow it's got red. Ideally I can change that to dynamic, not, these are almost same, it's nothing. Okay, so the same way nifty bank card, the same way it works. Color is green if the change value is less than 0, it's turning red. And compose a card with card header and card body, color name and color name. Okay, so if I save this, ideally this should be restarting, because this uh, plotly dashes automatically restart whenever there is a change happens. Your chart will load accordingly. Let's go back to this. So this is the one, and I see two tabs, two tables, and one. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 outputs. Let's refresh this. Site can't be reached because its site is reloading, because we made the change, that's why. And I'm returning that. So while you are returning, you have this choice: either you return with comma or you return with the bracket, since the output is the array type. Right, now let's go back and run. This is the portfolio loading table. And the mutual fund, what I've done is this refresh only once in a load first time, because the data refresh happens once in a day. Usually the mutual fund data refreshed once in a day, end of the day. That's why I'm not reloading this, to avoid this one. And this also defined in a function, it calls from an API. There is a amphi function, and the data is dynamic, it's nothing static. For example, the date which is there, yesterday's data has been considered and the price has been refreshed as per this. Well, let's go back to nseTab again. Okay, so the change did not break anything, we are good to go. Let me quickly show you the mutual fund function and other functions too. So one is top gainer, top loser, advanced declines, index code that is used for the cards, and get MF details. Get MF detail is the one that is for the individual mutual fund, but what the function which I'm using is get MF folio. The data which is dynamic, it's a daily I'm getting from this particular API. It's a web service, and from there I'm fetching. The important thing to consider here is your folio number, and if you track your buy price and quantity, rest of the things are all or calculated dynamically. If you want to see this, so you don't need to put all this, just I'm keeping, you need to have only folio number and average price and quantity. Okay, so let's go back. So if you see here, from there I'm taking as a list, from there I'm fetching the value. Okay, so based on that I'm considering the current value as well the invested value, what is total PNL. That's about it. Now let's talk about Bootstrap theming. So Py Plotly Dash gives a very good support on Bootstrap theming. So how are we doing? So one of the dependency on this one is Bootstrap components. Pip install Bootstrap, say pip install Bootstrap components. So I will list out this in the requirements in GitHub. You can use that. So by default, as of now, so far the entire application what you have seen in this is a Bootstrap theme. Let me see how let us change this theme into different one. How does this look and feel changes? Okay, so you see this all this background font, everything is currently with the Bootstrap. And if you want to look at the reference of this theming, you have a site bootswatch.com/default that I would display in the code. So you can go back and change these themes and see how this colors and components will look like. For example, you say darkly, you will find the entire thing dark and everything comes into this way. And you would like to say select something else, solar, you will find everything this, right? Now it's a Bootstrap. Now let me change this to darkly. Okay, I changed into darkly. It should take a couple of seconds to restart that. The restart you will know here. Once it's restarted, I want to refresh this page. Just wait few seconds. It should reload. While reloading, you need to do the force refresh. That is for okay, because there are some cache in those colors and fonts, so you need to do the force. So force reload. What I'll do is I do Control R. You will see this is turning into black, and your tab is all gone into turn into black. This is all fixed forced color on this table. As I mentioned, I wanted to have a dark color all the time. I fixed it. And also this is a data table. This will not adhere of Bootstrap because it has its own styling. If you had used a Bootstrap table, automatically the colors would have changed. And the same way on the charts also have its own styling. Now click on quickly on the other tabs. You will find all this getting changed. Only this will change, as I mentioned. This is because this has own styling, but your element will change. Okay, let's change one more. That is let's make it like solar, right? Okay, it's reloading. As I mentioned, we need to do the force reload in order to take this theming getting affected. I'll do Control R. Ideally, you will change this color turning into black into the solar theme based colors. Okay, so this is about theming. It's a Bootstrap, first class Bootstrap theming support is there in Dash. Now let's analyze stock analyzer tab. So what all the input elements we have? One is input text box and multi-select date range. Okay, let me see. Let's say we want to take 1 year value and it is for Tata Steel, right? So I say, let's say you want to do something else. Tata Motors, TORS. So here this loading icon really makes sense because it's pulling and processing some data. That's really nice to see. But some of the table it may not be relevant because table entire page becoming blank and coming back is not a good user interface. Or let's say take some other stock. One thing with this application, see, I have configured for this Indian stock exchange. With the minimal configuration, this can be turned into global markets. For example, you can fetch this point this particular libraries to Yahoo Finance. That then we can track global stocks like Apple, Alphabet, MSFT, IBM, all that. Okay, let's dive into the code. So there are major three components. One is input and multi-select date selector, multi-range date selector. Now what we have in the code, the tab is stock analyzer tab, right? Let's go down. So this is one thing which I mentioned, because you put logic as well the UI, the code will tend to blot. Okay, so that's one downside of single tier application model. So rather you just keep only UI, that's another model. So that will be easy to do, but however you have multiple layers to handle. Okay, now let's go back to stock analyzer tab. Okay, stock analyze tab. What we have, so again this is a row column model, and DCC input ID type text, and default value I'm taking it at Tata Steel. There is a property called debounce. The use of this property is, as soon as you click any single character, you don't want to keep passing that even back to your callback. So once you say debounce, until you enter, it will wait for your input. That's one. And also you have the same formatting applies here. The uniformity of width is 3 and offset 1. The second one is the date range picker. You give it ID, what are the minimum date allowed, maximum date allowed, and initial visible date and end date, and again with your standard formatting style. The below one is a chart, and the chart is wrapped with the loading. This loading with circle, we can put whatever, as I mentioned there are multiple options. And the stock size, stock chart size mentioned here, and it's a candle stock. Now if you look at this callback, how does this looks like, right? Stock chart callback, output is stock chart candle figure, then input is value and two date ranges. Okay, so I am just printing that. So what I am doing, if start date is not none, if there is no start date, means start date should be there, end date should be there, then I am passing this value to a function get historical data that's defined above in this file, and that takes and returns the data. Once you have the data, I am creating a figure for that. That's basically the diagram with candlestick style. With the x is the database index values, the index values is the date, and the entire candlestick requires open, high, low, close. So I'm giving where it is open, high, low, close, because this particular data frame, maybe I can show it here, because you can see that Maruti which I gave symbol open, high, low, close. So this columns should match with this. Open means df of open, this df I'm printing and showing that. Okay, so this is how the callback works. And what the default, what happens if I don't send anything, just I'm giving symbol value default data still, there is a predefined date I'm showing, predefined chart I'm showing it. That's how you see this. As soon as you load, you will find data still. Maybe let's see with the infi. It's taking a lot of time. And it is processing. Maybe the service update happens, so maybe it takes time. Okay, I think yep, you will find infi also. I'll zoom in some of these candles. You can keep zooming and see the date. Okay, that's all for this code walkthrough. Thank you very much. And finally, this is the main function where it runs. I'm putting debug true during the development, otherwise you can put without debug true, automatically it runs. Okay, thank you very much. So that's about the code walkthrough, guys, and the entire code is available in GitHub. Please feel free to go through, and also please comment and subscribe. That will encourage for me to add more videos, or maybe change the content and change the style. So the code is available at GitHub. That's github.com/kumark9 and plotly_dash. Thank you again. See you in the next video.